Hermes might be the most powerful AI agent out there. It's always on, it runs on its own server, and it builds its own skills. And by the end of it, you'll have a ready AI assistant that lives in Telegram, remembers you, and gets smarter on its own. A Hermes agent needs a body. That body can be a Mac Mini, your computer, but in this case, that body is just a tiny computer in the cloud that you rent. On DigitalOcean, that's called a Droplet. And here's why I'm on DigitalOcean and not on one of those other one-click VPS hosts. You pay by the hour, only for what you actually use. Spin it up, it's running, and you're paying pennies. You're done with it before the month ends, destroy it, and the bill stops that second. No annual plan, no lock-in. It's the cheapest way to start, and you size up only when you actually need to. So inside DigitalOcean, once you have your account set up and your card details in, click the green Create button. Scroll down to Droplet. I like to choose this one with 2 gigs of RAM. It's $12 a month or about 2 cents an hour. For authentication, choose an SSH key or a password. SSH keys are more secure, but they are a little more complex. So if you're just playing around, you can just stick with a password. Enter your password. Quantity 1, give your droplet a name. Let's call this Hermes tutorial and hit create droplet. All right, your droplet has been created. You have a public IPv4 address. So then let's fire up a terminal and type in SSH root at and the IP address. So in my case, 167.99.146.130. It's going to ask you for the password. So I'm just going to drop that in. And once you're in here, the first thing that you want to do is actually create a new user. So type in sudo add user Hermes, which is the username, and hit enter. Give the new user a password, and you can skip all the other steps. And then type in sudo usermod -a capital G sudo Hermes. And this will give your new user full privileges on your droplet to be able to modify files and access everything. Hit enter. And then type in su and Hermes, and now you're in your new Hermes user. All right, now that we're logged into that new user that we created, let's go over to the Hermes agent website and just grab this command. Click copy, come back to the terminal, paste, hit enter, and just let it do its thing. And in a couple of minutes, Hermes will be installed and ready for you to set up. Now, once it's installed, it'll automatically open up the setup wizard, which is really easy to follow. Just choose quick setup, hit enter, and the next step is to attach a brain to your Hermes agent. Now, the awesome thing about Hermes is that you can use your existing subscription that you already pay for and just plug it into Hermes. So if you already pay for ChatGPT, just come down and choose OpenAI. But I personally found that using xAI's Grok works really well. Number one, because the usage limits are really generous, and number two, because it's really fast. So I'm going to choose Grok and hit enter. Now scroll down and choose OAuth. Hit space to select. Now what you'll have to do is open up a new terminal tab and just grab this. But instead of at Hermes tutorial, go ahead and grab your IP address again, copy, paste, hit enter, enter your password. And once you're in, you can grab this URL by scrolling up and log into xAI on your computer. Now, the reason we had to do this step is because the terminal is currently connected to a computer in the cloud, and we are going to be logging into our local computer. The step we did earlier will allow our computer to talk to the computer in the cloud directly. So in a new browser, just paste in that URL, and since I'm already signed in, I'm just going to click allow. You'll see connection successful, and in the terminal, we'll see that the connection was indeed successful. Now for the default model, I'm just going to stick with Grok 4.3. I'm going to keep the current terminal backend, which is fine. And finally, we want to be able to talk to Hermes from anywhere. So I'm going to hit setup messaging now. You can choose any one of these platforms. I find that Telegram is the easiest, so I'm just going to hit space at Telegram, hit enter, and then it's going to ask me for a Telegram bot token. I'm going to find a user called Botfather and start a chat with him. Then click new bot to create a new bot. Give it a name, Hermes tutorial. Give it a username, so call it Hermes Shab Bot. And it's going to give you an access token. So click on the access token to copy it. Come back into the terminal and paste that token here. Hit enter. And then it's going to ask for an allowed user ID. Now, if you leave this empty, anybody that messages your new bot will automatically be able to talk to your Hermes agent. Now, this may be useful if you're setting up like a support agent or something, but in most cases, you want to be able to secure it to certain user IDs, most likely yours. So come back into Telegram, and there's another bot called User Info Bot. When you message it, it's going to give you your user ID. That's not your username, but your user ID. So just go ahead and copy that, come back to the terminal, paste in your user ID, hit enter, confirm, and finally install the gateway. Hit yes, choose the default, start the service, install the gateway as a background service, and you are up and running. Now at this point, we can just forget about the terminal completely and pick up where we left off in Telegram. All right, now we have everything installed. We're in Telegram. Let's send it a message. Hi. And we are operational. Hi, I'm Hermes, your AI assistant. Now it's time to dive in and really customize it and make Hermes your AI assistant instead of just a AI assistant. So the first thing you want to do is tell Hermes about yourself. Now the beautiful thing about Hermes is that it is a self-learning agent. So any information that you provided about yourself, it'll automatically save it and update its profile so it can better work with you. So I went ahead and I drafted a message about myself. Let me paste that in here, hit enter, and you'll see that it went ahead and actually added all of this to its memory and its profile is saved. Now at this point, the agent knows who I am, but the agent doesn't really know who it is. So that brings us to the next step, which is to give the agent a soul. So let's give the agent some instructions, and remember, we're doing all of this through Telegram. We don't really need the terminal anymore. I want you to be direct, pragmatic, and occasionally show some dry wit. Do not blindly agree with my thoughts. Push back a little when needed. Make every interaction with you feel rewarding, not just going through the motions. Add to your soul.md, hit enter. So it went ahead and saved this to its memory. Quick pause. If you want me to help you build systems like these for your business, there's a link to the application form in the description. Check it out. And if you're looking for an ever-growing library of plug-and-play automations and templates that you can implement into your business right away, there's a link to my school community in the description as well. And with that, let's get back to the video. Now that you have Hermes up and running, here are 5 foundational concepts that you need to know in order to make the most of it. Number 1, profiles. Hermes allows you to create multiple profiles or multiple agents, each with its own soul file, meaning you can have one agent with its own specific identity, another agent with its own specific identity, and so on and so forth. Each profile will be completely independent from the other, and while chatting, you can just switch between profile A and profile B. So to set up a new profile, you can just tell Hermes in Telegram, make a new profile called Devil's Advocate. This profile should be very contrarian and push back hard on everything. So it ran the commands. You see that it was cloned from the default profile. The soul.md was rewritten to be relentlessly contrarian. So let's go ahead and type in switch to Devil's Advocate profile. And we're now in the Devil's Advocate profile. Let's give it a shot. I think I should start a vending machine business. It's supposed to be relentlessly contrarian, so let's see what it comes back with. And you'll see that the response is very contrarian. Okay, excellent. Switch back to the default profile. And we're back to the concept number 2, skills. If you use Claude, you might already be familiar with them. Skills are essentially files with very detailed instructions on how to complete a given task. The entire instructions are not loaded into context every single time. Only the description or introduction of the skill is loaded in. When the agent realizes that the task the user is asking requires this skill to complete, it automatically pulls the rest of the description into context and then follows those instructions down to a T. Hermes has 90 skills built in, and there are hundreds of skill repositories out there where you can get new skills from. The built-in skills are really good and they can cover most of your work. You can also create your own skills, much like you do with Claude, and you can get third-party skills as well. However, before installing any third-party skills, review the document very carefully, because there were a lot of reports of prompt injection attacks being done through OpenClaw skills. So use the built-in ones, get them from sources you trust, or build your own. Now, the beauty of Hermes is that it can actually proactively make skills without you really telling it. So if you give it a very repeatable workflow as a one-off instruction, it might realize that, hey, this would benefit from becoming a skill, and it will actually proactively go ahead and make that into a skill and save it. As you run the skill and give it feedback, it automatically updates the skill as well based on that feedback. So it's a self-learning loop where the agent automatically realizes where it's falling short and improves itself without direct input from you. Now, the next thing is one of my favorite features, and that is /background. So let's say you're in a discussion with Hermes, as we are right now, setting everything up, and suddenly you remember that you have to do something else which is completely unrelated. If you tell it to do that right away, your entire context and conversation is going to go off track. So Hermes has a / command called background, where you can now give it a prompt, and Hermes will actually spin up a separate agent outside of this context, complete that task, and get back to you once it's done. So we can just run a command saying /background, find me the latest news on Arsenal's championship, hit enter, and you'll see that it started a background task. Now I can continue chatting with Hermes as this is being executed. So what else can you help me do? And you'll see that Hermes is responding. We're having a regular conversation, and once this background task is done, it's going to send me a message automatically with the results from that background task. All right, now there it is. We automatically got the result of that background task without really messing up our existing content. Now that you have profiles and skills in place, how do you actually get Hermes to do things on schedule without you telling it? And that is through something called Cron Jobs. Now, Cron Jobs are actually a software engineering concept that have been along for a long time. Essentially, it's a block of code that runs on schedule. Hermes does this really well. So all you need to do is set up a cron job and ask it to do something. So that would look something like, set up a cron job to remind me to go to the gym every day at 9 a.m. So the cron job gym reminder was created every day at 9 a.m. It's going to send me a message saying, hey, go to the gym. Now, this is a very simple cron job, but more complex cron jobs can actually invoke different profiles, different skills, and you can actually stack tasks together for even more complex execution. Now, last but not least, the most powerful feature in Hermes Agent is the Hermes Kanban. Now, to start that up, we're actually going to have to go back into the terminal because we need to spin something up in the browser. So type in Hermes space dashboard, and you have a confirmation saying the web UI is built, but since we're on DigitalOcean, it's actually giving us a local URL. So we have to go back into another terminal tab, and just like we did when we signed up for Grok, we're going to have to forward this port to our local computer. So if we run this command and then enter the password for the user that we had just made, hit enter, you'll see that this is now running, and that spins up the Hermes dashboard. Now, even though it says localhost over, which means it thinks it's on our computer, this is actually running on DigitalOcean. We've just created a tunnel between the DigitalOcean server and our own computer. So now let's go down to the Kanban plugin on the left side, and it's going to load the Kanban board, and this is one of Hermes' most powerful features. So you can drop a task into the triage board. An agent will automatically pick it up, dissect the task or expand it as needed, and assign it to sub-agents who are automatically going to complete it, and you'll see all of those go into the done column over here. So let's just go back into Telegram to start this up, and we're going to tell it initialize the Kanban board. So it'll initialize it if it's not already done so. Okay, Kanban is initialized. Let's go back here, refresh once, and we can drop a task into triage by clicking the plus button. Build me a social media strategy across YouTube and LinkedIn, and click create. Now, once this task is in triage, an agent is automatically going to pick it up, dissect it, and turn it into smaller tasks, which are then going to be picked up by other agents and completed all in parallel. So if we wait a couple of seconds, we'll see that the task will move from here into the other board. And if you have other specific profiles that are suited to certain tasks, like in this case, like a social media strategist profile, or a YouTube scriptwriter profile, or a LinkedIn poster profile, it will automatically figure out that the subtasks should go to those profiles. Now, last but not least, the most powerful feature in Hermes Agent is so with this setup, if you're looking for more inspiration on what you can do with your Hermes Agent, the documentation actually has a whole bunch of user stories and use cases that you can go through and then start implementing yourself. You can just grab one of the links from here, paste that link into Telegram and ask it to replicate it for you, and Hermes will just take care of all of that. In future videos, I'm going to do a deeper dive into Hermes and more cool things that you can do with it, so be sure that you're subscribed to not miss any.